Hi everyone, it's Natalie here, knocking them out today. Can't you tell? Just one after the next. When it's quiet at home, that's a good time to do it. This is the prompt for day 8. Let me just double check my document here. So it is, what tarot books did you read in 2019? To start with, a bunch of the tarot books that I read in 2019 are on my Kindle. So they're on my Kindle app, and I don't even know how many there were. There were a lot. Some of them were books that people wrote that were very inexpensive. They were self-published, and really kind of talk about the person's journey with tarot, because I'm really interested in what that's like for other people. I wish I had spent more time writing those down actually, but there are a bunch of them on Amazon, a lot of them, and they're very inexpensive, and I think they're really worthwhile if you're curious about the way that tarot impacts people or impacts their lives. And you learn a little bit more about the cards too, in the way that they, because of the person's story, if that makes sense. So there's several there. I also read, not all the way through, I'm still working with it, but The Spiritual Teacher in the Cards. Oh, why does his name escape me? It's so awful. It's Yoav Ben Dov's teacher. He's so well known and loved and respected. Maybe it'll come back to me. You know who I mean? The Spiritual Teacher in the Cards. Very famous. Wow, I can't believe I can't remember the name. I can remember the craziest things and that won't come to me. But anyway, that I have loved. And I actually downloaded the samples of several of his other books because I thought he was such a wonderful writer. That's been a lot of fun. I started the year, so let's do the solid 3D books here that I've got. Oh dear. So I just realized at least one of them is under here. I'm going to have to replace one of my books with a different one. While I'm at it though, I did start reading Tarot of the Spirit, which I'll be reading a lot more this year, but I didn't get very far. Maybe introduction and not much further. Oh Lord, it's all going to hell. It's all going to hell. Let's see. Ta-da! We're almost there. Hang on. Okay. Ooh, nope, not quite. Okay, so I'm back. One of the books that I read this year and obviously still continue to go back to is Holistic Tarot by Benabel Wen. It's really an excellent book. It's very, very well written. You name it, it's in here. She's covered every possible base imaginable in here, and many that you would never have thought of and wouldn't necessarily want to cover. So it's fantastic. And it's so thick and so big that it's usually what my laptop is resting on, so that it's at human height while I'm filming videos. Two of her books usually take that place, actually. This one and the Book of Maps. Is it the book? Yeah, it's the Book of Maps for the SKT. Right under there, right under this. So, that's one of them. But I started the year in 2019, not this year, reading Kitchen Table Tarot by Melissa Sinova. I found out that she was local, and I don't know, I was really intrigued by her work. And I was just coming back to the tarot and really worried about whether I really remembered the meanings correctly or not. I remembered them. Yeah, they were fine. But I didn't know that. I wasn't in a place of trust in myself at the beginning of the year or last year. So having her book was really validating and really helpful. And I journaled the meanings of all the cards again and realized that I knew a lot more than I gave myself credit for, because, I'd just been in a job where all my credibility had been kind of eroded. So, that's tough. But it really did a lot for me. I have not read this all the way through, admittedly, but I have started reading the Tarot Elements, 5 readings to reset your life. This is a fantastic book. It's again, I haven't gotten my way all the way through it because it's not one of those books that you just pick up and read all the way through. You kind of need to work your way through it, but it's beautifully done. And again, it's Melissa Sonova, and she's fantastic. Yeah, and she's part of my circle actually in St. Louis now because she started up the tarot group that I'm a part of, because being a tarot reader on your own can be lonely. So she's not there very often because she's busy, but she's a really lovely person if you get to meet her or work with her. Another one that I really, really enjoyed was, and I did read my way through this one, although not through every single card meaning. All the card meanings are in here, and I did not read all the card meanings. I read a lot of the card meanings. Looks like I read a huge amount. So I basically got through all of the text and some of the card readings of this one. And I'll be revisiting a lot of it this year with my study of the Thoth. And then I also picked up Numerology and the Divine Triangle. Another member of my the tarot group that I meet with locally recommended this one as a great way of understanding divine geometry and numerology and the tarot and astrology and the ways in which they all overlap, including tarot timing, which I haven't gotten to in this book yet. It is dense and it is a lot, but it is very, very, very good. They always keep it in stock at the local shop here because the tarot reader that uses it is she works there and she recommends it to people a lot. So it is a fascinating book, really fascinating. So those are the main books that I read in person, but I'm also a major reader of tarot guidebooks. So if it was a guidebook to the tarot, where did my Marielle guidebook go? I'm missing my Marielle guidebook. Ah! Ta-da! I found it. Okay. So, yeah, that would be disastrous because I've clearly spent a lot of time with it, and yeah. I like a good book. I like a guidebook. Sure as hell like a guidebook. This is one that I've carried with me multiple places and times and, continue to write in and mark and note down and, yeah, everything because it's got a lot of important information in it for me. But yeah, so a lot of guidebooks. If there was a book that came along with a deck that I acquired last year, I will have read the guidebook because I believe in reading the guidebook. I want to know what the author thinks, why they think it, where that thought comes from, what they're doing with it, where they're going with it, anything that inspired them, any kind of differences in the way that they're reading the cards or interpreting the cards that they verbalize, any changes in the symbolism, any spreads they might want to offer, anything about their background. I like to know, I'm curious. To me, the deck is that person's magnum opus. So I want to know what informed it. Where did it come from? So I always read guidebooks, and I really get a lot out of them. They're juicy. One guidebook that you don't want to miss if you get the deck, right? Is sometimes people will get a deck, but they won't get the guidebook because they're not together. And that is the Oracle of Initiation. It is a lovely, thick, chunky ass guidebook that is just beautifully written. She's a wonderful writer. Oh, she's got this amazing vision. So, yeah, there we go. Guidebooks, they're great. I recommend them. This year I will be reading a lot more, but I think that's a different prompt. So I'm not going to cover that right now. But anyway, yes, those are my guidebooks, or those are my books. Those are the books that I did. Ta-da! If you read with a Rider-Waite Smith, I can't recommend enough. Get the Pictorial Key to the Tarot. I don't have mine anymore. I think that went with my pile of tarot decks and books and stuff that went to the prison. Yeah. Yeah, the prison. I gave away a lot of my stuff to tarot in prison, and it's not allowed anymore. This was back in the 90s. And that was one that I had read as part of my certification as a tarot reader with the American Tarot Association. You have to read the Pictorial Key. So, among several others. And I had Eden Gray's book. I loved her book, even though it was hard to read. But I had a bunch anyway. They're good. The foundational books are good, folks. They're worth investing in. In fact, I'm gonna buy a bunch of the ones that I used to have that I really loved and get the newer versions of them. So like I think 78 Degrees of Tarot and Tarot for Yourself. There's a few that I used to have that I gave away years ago when I moved. So yeah, it's too bad. Anyway, it's fun to invest in the new ones though, even though it's a little costly. I like having the references and I like having them there. So anyway, that's it. Okay, folks, have a great day. See you tomorrow.